This is Mike Johnson on screen. He's the new Speaker of the House at this immediate moment. I'm sure a lot of people probably already heard of him. This guy's completely out of step with the rest of society. He is so extremely anti-abortion, it's insane. And as we've learned over the past couple of years now, after Roe v. Wade was removed and individual states put up to a vote whether or not they should have abortion rights, as we've learned over that stretch of time, the country overwhelmingly wants abortion rights. Even a surprisingly large percentage of Republicans want abortion rights. And it seems to be kind of breaking through these people's thick skulls at this point that that's the case. Ohio voted on whether or not they should add abortion rights to their state constitution, and they voted overwhelmingly yes, they should add it to the state constitution. And I guess Republicans just can't accept that for some reason. Every single time abortion is on a ticket, it overwhelmingly votes to the left. It overwhelmingly votes in favor of abortion rights. Sean Hannity here and these other Republicans are starting to realize every time they try to push the abortion issue, they lose. They lose election after election. Listen to what they had to say here, early November 2023.
Really going to be honest about this, and I consider myself pro-life, but I understand that's not where the country is.
Republicans starting to realize that's not where the country is. That's good news. Finally, after how many years, they're starting to realize this.
I would say first trimester or Dobbs 15 weeks seems to be where the country is, Kayleigh. I want to stay with you on this issue.
No, I'll tell you where the country is. I'll tell you exactly where the country is. Right where Roe v. Wade was, which was 20 weeks. Why are they saying 15 weeks? The reason they're pushing 15 instead of what Roe v. Wade was is because they want to make it more strict than Roe v. Wade was. They can't give up on the idea that Roe v. Wade was perfect. It was a good law. They insist on pushing the idea that they were right all along, no matter what. They were right to remove it. It should be more strict than Roe v. Wade, even though the country wanted Roe v. Wade. Even when they're ceding ground and stepping away and saying, okay, I can see it's not popular, even when they're doing that, they can't admit to the fact that they were wrong for the entire thing.
This issue. And these issues will be decided by the states. You talked to the Speaker of the House. I talked to
Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House. We're going to listen to what he had to say about this in a second, right? So Hannity and Kayleigh McEnany, I think is this woman's name. She was Donald Trump's press secretary for a while, I believe. They're saying they spoke to Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, about abortion issues, okay? Quick interjection. I won't take long. I just wanted to tell you guys, YouTube's algorithm operates off of a few factors. Watch time, whether or not you subscribe, and whether or not you like something. So if you really want to help my channel, I would appreciate it if you guys watch the video to the end. If you don't watch it to the end, just watch a little bit longer than you would have otherwise. I would appreciate that very much. All right, let's get back to the video.
You talked to the Speaker of the House. I talked to the Speaker of the House. It is not going to be an issue in the House of Representatives. This is not going to be decided any longer in Washington, D.C. The states will decide.
You know what that means? What they're saying is they're walking away from the abortion issue. They realize that this is toxic for them, they being Republicans, the Republican thought leaders like Sean Hannity and other think tanks. They realize how toxic this is, and they realize the fact that they're going to keep losing. Every time abortion is on the ticket, they lose every single time. I'm just eating this up. This is good news. We have something to celebrate. The country, overall, has always been in favor of abortion rights, has always wanted Roe v. Wade to stay in place the entire time. And Republicans were using it as a funding mechanism all the way through clear to now. They've been using it as a method to garner support with their base. You know why? Because it makes people fanatical. if they think that actual, real, literal murder is taking place on a systemic level, they will crawl over broken glass to solve the problem. In reality, that's not what's happening. In reality, abortion is A, extremely important for the health of a society to have access to this, and B, not murder. It's simply a clump of cells up to a certain point. I understand that there's a line there somewhere where things should be a lot, you should be more careful and take the decision more seriously. I get that. But the Supreme Court, back in, I don't know, when was it? The 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, when they were adjudicating this stuff, they determined that it was at viability, about 20 weeks. And that's a perfectly fine line for me and pretty much everybody else. 20 weeks. Just barely into the second trimester. So Hannity here says the states will decide, and he's convinced Mike Johnson to leave it alone, the Speaker of the House. Don't touch the abortion issue. This was an extremely valuable source of funding for them, and it truly blows me away that they argued to end abortion or whatever so fervently. I got to thinking about it, like, how did this happen? I was so convinced Republicans weren't actually going to stop abortion. They're just going to scream about it and make money from it this whole time. And I think that the explanation here is there are two different parties working here, and they're not necessarily working with the same goals. So we have the Republican Party, say Sean Hannity, or Ted Cruz, Donald Trump, or whoever. The politicians are working to fundraise off this issue. And then we have actual boots on the ground activist organizations who are filing litigation and sending in amicus briefs and doing everything that they can, setting up fake pregnancy centers to try to trick women into waiting too long so they can't get an abortion anymore, and, getting violent at protests and things like that. That's the kind of thing that the boots on the ground organizations have been doing up to now. So while these politicians are fear-mongering about it and building their coffers out with the donations that they get over this issue, there are actual real activists trying to get things done to stop abortion. And those activists, at the end of the day, they won out. This is the dog that caught the car for the politicians. This is like the worst nightmare for the Republican Party. It couldn't be worse for them right now. And I guess they've realized that and started backing off this issue like ridiculously. Let me tell you where Speaker Mike Johnson is. Let me just show you. After Roe v. Wade was done away with, after it was removed, Republican politicians around the country went on a victory tour and started talking about what they were coming for next. This is an interviewer that's interviewing this woman right here. This woman was running for office and was endorsed by Donald Trump, and she lost in her election. Why? Because removing abortion rights was extremely unpopular. But they were convinced that it was popular because the Supreme Court removed it, and of course the Supreme Court only does things that are popular, right? This is where the party was, the Republican Party, immediately after Roe v. Wade was removed, in case you forgot or you weren't paying attention to politics at the time or whatever. Mid-May 2022. Listen to what they said here.
You're a faithful Catholic, meaning you believe everything the church teaches?
Yes.
Everything?
Yes.
Everything?
Yes.
So you are, you see that the use of contraception is against natural moral law?
Yes.
Contraception, birth control, use of birth control. They're coming after birth control here. You catching this?
Is destructive, a doorway to abortion, blah, blah, and all that and everything.
Wait. Birth control's a doorway to abortion? What? How? Doesn't it prevent abortion?
Everything else, you see everything going on with Roe, for example, right now, and all the left, becoming completely uncorked, losing their minds. The question, they're saying they're coming after your gay marriage next. They're coming after your birth control after that and everything else. Well, you know what? Yeah, absolutely.
This is their victory tour. This is the kind of stuff that they said. I have countless clips of this. This one is just the most out there and honest about it. This is, you don't get more on the nose than this. Can he be more clear? They're coming after gay marriage and birth control next.
control after that and everything else. Well, you know what? Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes. So we need to make a plain statement of fact, which is the reason why the West is great is because Western civilization's underpinning is Christianity.
No, literally no to all of that. So anyways, that's where Mike Johnson has been up to this point. He's been exactly where these guys are. Anti-abortion, anti-contraception, anti-in vitro fertilization, anti-everything. If you have a pregnancy that has hydrocephaly, I believe is the name, where there's no brain, it's just water. You have to give birth to that baby anyways. You have to. That's just what it is. I know it's going to die within 2 hours at best. I know that there's no thinking being behind those eyes. It's just water. I get that. But I love life so much that I'm going to force you to go through something deeply traumatic. That's where they were. Okay? It's pretty clear. And that's where Mike Johnson has been up to this moment. But apparently, after Sean Hannity and Kayleigh McEnany had a conversation with the dude, Speaker of the House, he, I guess he kind of backed off those positions. Listen to this. November 5th, 2023, he's kind of changing his tune. That victory lap they did, doing a Yui on that one, apparently.
I want to talk about some social issues. You've got a lot of critics who say that you are wildly out of step with the American people. Let's talk.
Oh, yeah, he is definitely out of step. And so is the other politician we just listened to.
Abortion first. One of the groups opposing you says this. He wants a total abortion ban with no exceptions. He supported bans that would not only criminalize abortion, but ban IVF treatments.
Yes, that's what they want.
And common forms of birth control, and that you voted against access to contraception.
Absolutely. Mike Johnson holds all of those positions. Yes.
Where are you on these issues? Is that an accurate assessment of where you are? Because that's
Yes, it is.
not in step with the American people.
No, Shannon.
You gotta be kidding me, dude. Really? See, he's just backing off. He suddenly realizes that it's basically political suicide, for lack of a better term, to even touch this subject in any way. He realizes how deeply damaging to his career it would be to bring this up. And honestly, not just his career. Damaging to Republicans across the country to talk about this. Nobody wants contraception removed from stores, okay? Nobody wants abortion taken away, abortion access. Nobody wants gay marriage removed. Some sliver of the country wants this stuff. The extreme of the extreme, like Mike Johnson. They're just now realizing they don't represent almost anybody. And if they do victory laps on these issues that they shoehorned in against the American people's will, they're going to get elected, or they're going to get removed from office. So he has to back all the way off. Now he's not saying, I want to ban contraception, I want to ban abortion, I want to ban gay marriage. Now he's saying, absolutely, that's crazy. Who would think such a thing of me? Why would you ever say that? I'm wounded, hurt and wounded.
No, Shannon, look, I'm pro-life. I've said very clearly, I'm a Bible-believing Christian. I believe in the sanctity of every single human life.
Okay, I believe in the sanctity of every single human life also, not being a Bible-believing Christian. But you know what? The Bible is actually in favor of abortion. If you actually read the thing, Numbers 5:11-23, it says, if your wife cheats on you, you should have an abortion. It's a mandate. Go get an abortion if your wife cheated on you. Go to the priest. He will whip up this concoction and have the abortion done for you. The only reason abortion is even discussed in religious circles in the first place is because they knew they could fundraise off of it. They knew they could create zealots, extremists off of this issue, despite the fact that the Bible directly contradicts what he's saying. And as for him being for the sanctity of life, me too. I am too. A clump of cells is not a human being. It's just not. And even if it were, it's necessary for the safety of society to have this option available sometimes. That's just what it is.
every single human life. So I come to Congress with deep, personally held convictions. But guess what? So do my 434 other colleagues in the House.
Sure, but they're way more in step with the rest of society than you. That's the problem we're talking about here. Yeah, I know you have convictions. Nobody agrees with them.
Other colleagues in the House. Everyone comes to Congress with their deeply held convictions. But the process here is that you make law by consensus. And I've not brought forward any measure to address any of those issues. Right now,
Wow, you bring forth law by consensus? Since when? This is new. What is something like 70% of the U.S. wants a single payer health care or something like that? Let me find out. Okay, this is Pew Research Center. They're extremely reputable. Majority of Democrats favor a single national government program to provide health care coverage. Increasing share of Americans favor a single government program to provide health care coverage. A majority of Americans continue to say the federal government has a responsibility to make sure all Americans have health care coverage. What was that he said a second ago again? I missed it.
is that you make law by consensus. And
Oh, what? One more time? I'm sorry?
Congress with their deeply held convictions. But the process here is that you make law by consensus.
Oh, consensus, you say. So, like, the thing that the majority of people want and agree on, you do that thing? I mean, this is one example, okay? This is one of the plethora of things that the U.S. people want that this guy doesn't want them to have. Okay, no government involvement of any kind in health insurance, which is basically what we have now. 6%. 6% want that. 30% say we should continue Medicare and Medicaid. Okay, so 6% says undo Medicare and Medicaid. And 30% said keep it exactly as it is, pretty much. 36% said single national government program for healthcare. 26% said mix of government and private programs. So we're looking at 63% of the country says yes, government's responsible. And 37% said no, government is not responsible. But the vast majority said we should continue Medicare and Medicaid as things are right now. I thought, what was that, Mike? One more time for like the fourth time?
Congress with their deeply held convictions. But the process here is that you make law by consensus. And
okay, do it. Fantastic. I love it. Just go down the list of the things the American people want by majority and enact that. I'm happy with that. Everybody happy with that? Put things up to a vote? If we did that, actually, there wouldn't be a single Trump policy in place, almost anywhere down the line.
I've not brought forward any measure to address any of those issues. Right now, our priorities are funding the government, handling these massive national security priorities that we have, and
Probably talking about Israel.
crises around the globe, and taking care of changing and reforming how Congress works. That's what we're going to do.
Wait, changing and reforming how Congress works. What? What does that have to do with anything? I didn't hear about this.
Listen, prior to the modern time, I mean, until recently, actually, almost all of our nation's leaders openly acknowledged that they were also Bible-believing Christians. I mean,
No, almost all? No, not almost all. And aside from that, you know what? It's actually against the law for atheists to run for office in a ton of states. You'll be disqualified from the ballot if you're an atheist running for office. So, yeah, doesn't surprise me that there's a disproportionate number of people who claim to be religious nutcases or whatever. FYI, that's actually an illegal law. They cannot put that law in according to the Constitution, but it's there. And it hasn't been challenged. When it's challenged, it will be shot down and officially removed. As of this moment, it still stands and can still be enforced until the moment that it's challenged.
Bible-believing Christians. I mean, this is not something that should cause great unrest, okay? It's just that Washington right now, what you're seeing, Washington and the Associated Press Corps are engaging with a leader who openly acknowledges faith and...
No, look, I have no problem with your faith, okay? Be a religious nutcase to your heart's content. Leave that out of government policy. Why is that so hard? Why can't you go to church on Sunday, live your life, talk about how much you hate gay people or whatever, and then when you walk into Congress the Monday morning or whatever, legislate as though there are other people with other beliefs in the country. Legislate to protect other people's rights. Your right to swing your fist ends at the tip of my nose. You can swing it anywhere you want, except for right here. Because when you swing it right here, that's not you exercising your rights anymore. That's you violating my rights now. How is it affecting Mike Johnson for a gay couple in New York City to get married? How does that hurt Mike? That is their free right to do. They should be perfectly free to do whatever they want, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody and it doesn't affect somebody else's rights. That's it. Mike doesn't seem to get that fundamental thing that America was built on. Your right to swing your fist ends at the tip of my nose. He doesn't, has he ever heard that saying? He doesn't belong in Congress if he doesn't understand what that even means.
And the foundational principles of our country.
Okay,
I think this is a healthy discussion, but it doesn't affect how we run Congress.
No, it's not a healthy discussion for people to talk about taking away my rights when they don't affect you. It's a healthy conversation when we're talking about making sure everybody has a right to do what they want until it interferes with other people's rights. That's it. Unacceptable conversation to have otherwise for public legislators.
How we run Congress.
To be clear, though, have you voted against fertility treatments and access to contraception?
Yes.
Would you?
I don't think so. I'm not
Yes, he has.
sure what they're talking about. I really don't remember.
Don't remember. Suddenly have amnesia, right? Can't think of a single thing. Oh, have I ever voted against contraception? I don't remember that. Convictions that this guy has held his entire life are suddenly slipping right out of his head. It's like Donald Trump taking the stand and testifying in his own defense. I don't remember.
But
do you oppose anything?
I am personally
with IVF?
pro-life, yeah. No, of course.
She asked if you oppose in vitro fertilization. The reason she asked that is because the process of in vitro fertilization necessitates the possibility of what is legally classified as an abortion. So you're taking the cells and you're putting them in a petri dish and mixing them together and growing them. Some of them are not going to succeed. Some of them are. So when some of them succeed, you implant them, basically. I mean, it's way more complicated than that, but that's the bottom line, you know. That's like the first grader explanation of it. By the definition of the laws, abortion prevents that process from happening. People who could not get pregnant before are barred from getting IVF treatments and having a child now because of what this guy has voted for. Again, like, I don't want to get you guys down over this. There's no reason to be down over this. We're winning. This guy is in a minority that is so tiny compared to everybody else. He has no chance of winning when he goes up against a fair vote. The only way these people can win is through the Electoral College and gerrymandering districts. That's when extremists like this win. We are winning this battle. And you can tell by the fact that this guy is so desperate to convince everybody from here to Texas that he's the most moderate fella alive.
I am personally pro-life, yeah.
So do you want to stop IVF treatments? She was interrupted when she asked that.
No, of course not. That's something that's blessed a lot of families who...
Bull. You can try to fool the people behind the screen. You can't fool this guy who has two thumbs and is impossible to fool by Mike Johnson. This guy.
Have problems with fertility. Of course, that's a great thing. I would support that. But look, again, these are not issues that are on the front of the agenda, and we can come with our convictions and we can govern in an accountable, transparent manner for the American people. And
Jeannie Bottle says lying is a sin. I hope he repents. Exactly, man. This guy is so full of it. He is lying his pants off right now. How do you fit so many lies into like a single statement?
that's what we're going to do.
Okay, so you've talked a lot about...
Oh, man, I love it, dude. I eat this up. I love everything about it. Republican Party is scared. That's the bottom line here. That should be the title of this video. Republican Party is scared. Oops. We f***ed up. Sorry, I try not to swear, but oh, man, I love everything about it. Just think about where they were a few short months ago, late March 2023, they didn't fully get it yet, how completely screwed they were on this subject. Every time they bring up abortion, they lose. This is Dan Kelly, I think is his name. He was running for the Supreme Court in Wisconsin. I hope I'm getting that right. And he decided to bring up the thing that shall not be named. Late March 2023. He lost, by the way. He lost his election to a progressive. Something that hadn't happened in that state in like 50 years or something. Listen to what he said here. This is probably the talk that lost him the election.
There is a wild dog loose in our country. A bear wolf, if you will.
I don't know what that is.
And this bloodshed is sustained by an odious fiction. It's a fiction in the minds of men, an idol that they hold on to.
Okay, ominous. Go on.
We've started this mission to the magistrates up in Wisconsin, trying to see them affect interposition for the preborn, defy the federal judiciary. That is the wild beast in America.
What is the wild beast in America? He's saying the wild beast is abortion, I guess?
The federal judiciary. And there's two things that they always choke on where they can't see their duty to interpose.
There's a your mom joke in here somewhere.
Two things. One is they think that women who murder their own sons or daughters are victims and should not be tried for homicide. That's one.
Again, this lost him the election, this speech, because it's psychotic. That's not what's happening. People are not committing murder. There's a very big difference between being murdered and never being born. If you don't see that difference, I can't help you. But I can say this, you don't belong anywhere near a position of power. It's like this whole anti-abortion thing started out as a method of whipping people into a blood frenzy and getting zealots out to vote for you, getting people so emotional that they'll crawl over broken glass to stop what they believe is some atrocity. That's how it started. And at this point, we've got nutcases like Dan Kelly out here saying women should be tried with homicide if they get an abortion or miscarry, maybe. I mean, will he go that far? We know that these people want to do away with contraception. We know that they want to do away with abortion even in cases of an ectopic pregnancy, even preventing IVF, in vitro fertilization, even in cases of rape, incest, or life of the mother. In any case, no matter what, these people want to try women with homicide if any of this stuff takes place. They had no idea how wildly out of step with the rest of society they were. So I guess this is the find out portion of around and find out for the Republicans, and I'm eating it up. I'm loving every second of it.
What's right about that? Because we know the whole pro-life movement has made the women into victims, and that's a total mistake. Totally unbiblical.
No, it's actually completely biblical, as a matter of fact. The Bible says, Numbers 5:11-23, you should get an abortion. If your wife cheated on you, send her to the priest for an abortion. How do you wiggle out of that? I don't understand. Like, how do people... You know what? Hold on. I can tell you how, because I did a video on this. Yeah, so here's the interesting thing about YouTube Shorts. It brings in an audience that wouldn't otherwise see what you're releasing. And a lot of the time, it's people who aren't interested in it. Sometimes it's people who are. But I get absolutely wild comments on my shorts. So I released this short about what I'm saying here a while back. Numbers 5:11-22 describes a situation in which a woman should go to a priest for him to perform an abortion on her. And that situation is, if the dad suspects it's not his, then she should go get an abortion from the priest. Couldn't get clearer. The Bible is explicitly in favor of these things. If you say otherwise, you're just full of it. You just haven't read the Bible. So the interesting thing is that shorts show us fascinating comments. Let's just look at some of the comments on this video because some of them are wild, dude. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so here's a justification for this from a Christian. Wrong. So wrong. The woman in this chapter isn't pregnant. Neither do the listed ingredients cause abortion. Right, so it was a hypothetical woman. The verses say, if your wife is cheated on you, take her to the priest. If she did cheat on you and she's pregnant by somebody else, then the concoction the priest gives her will induce an abortion. If she didn't cheat on you but is pregnant, it won't induce an abortion. It was obviously old folk magic or whatever. But that's a pretty clear example of God endorsing abortion, right? In fact, mandating it. How does that get any clearer? I don't understand. So somebody responds to him, neither do the listed ingredients cause an abortion. Oh, really? Sounds to me like they're likely to kill the mother and not just the fetus, but do go on about how animal feces and entrails mixed with dirt and heavy metals would be completely safe. Yeah, that was the mixture you're supposed to give to the woman. It says the womb will, this is Kevin's response here. It says the womb will swell and fall away, not miscarry. Does he have any idea what any of these terms even mean? The curse takes away her ability to conceive forever, not provides an abortion. Oh, so the baby is just born to her, is what he's saying then? Give me a break. This is like twisting yourself into a ridiculous pretzel. It's kind of impressive when you think about it, right? Also, the ingredients are listed and don't cause abortions. The curse of the womb is caused by God, not coriander seeds. The passage is a way for falsely accused women to save themselves from stoning. Guilty women won't drink it, and innocent women... Oh, okay. So if you're guilty, then you just won't drink... You won't get the abortion. That's what he's saying. So God didn't endorse it. He's using it as a way of preventing women from doing it because he knows they won't do it. Give me a break, man. Really. This is just... Is there, like, any seriousness to be found in this conversation anywhere? Is there any substance to be found here? Is there any honest rebuttal to this that isn't complete trash? Okay, here's another rebuttal to this. In favor. I don't think that means what you think it means. Not to mention religion is a stupid argument to bring into the conversation no matter the side. Sure, I'm not the one bringing it into the conversation. They said the Bible is opposed to abortion. I said, no, it's not. It's in favor of abortion. And in favor, I don't think that means what you think it means. It means exactly what I think it means. What are you talking about? The Bible said it's a mandate. You must go get an abortion if you think your wife's cheated on you, and it'll cause an abortion if you take this and you really did cheat. Like, how else can you frame this? How could this be clearer? Couldn't be clearer, but no mention of the word abortion. Come on now. They don't like the fact that the word abortion did not exist in the Old Testament 3,000 years ago. The English word abortion didn't exist in a society that spoke ancient Hebrew. That's their defense. Great. It was obviously describing that process, though. Jesus, dude. Somebody says, try again. Abortion wasn't a word until the mid-16th century. The Greek aborori was used 2,000 years ago. It means literally miscarry. Words have power. Learn about them before you challenge their use. Interesting. Nitpicking words in the Bible is a fraught exercise anyways, because we have like thousands of manuscripts of every single one of these various texts that all mean different things. They all have different words that were written by different scribes and everything else. There were probably 6 different translations and 6 different original manuscripts for these verses anyways, and they all use different words, different verbiage or whatever. Somebody says, I already did a video on this. And another person says, that's awesome that you're in favor of abortion then. And the guy says, I'm in favor of truth of the holy word of God. He's yelling it because it's in caps. I'm also the one that is bringing the Christian pro-abortion argument before the Supreme Court that will reinstate Roe v. Wade. Oh, interesting. Okay. I don't think it's going to do that, but that would be great. Jesus, dude, this is just insane. Way to find one verse that agrees with your view, almost as accurate as the slave owners who used the Bible to justify their actions. Look at Jesus if you're confused, bro. He's the best example. Hey, agreed, yes. What did Jesus say about abortion? Anything? I'll wait. How long do I have to sit here until somebody gives me a verse from Jesus explaining what he said about abortion? I'm bringing up that verse because it's the only one that talks about abortion directly. Every other verse there really are no other verses about it. There's one verse that talks about knowing a prophet of God before he was even conceived. That doesn't mean that he was a human being when he was 150 cells. I just don't like. I can offer no help for these people. I guess that's, most of these people are just trying to pull away from the real subject and saying that the government shouldn't be funding it. It doesn't. The government is barred from funding abortions, always has been. Is it the Hyde Amendment, I think? Anyway, just absurd, man. Just absurd.